What do we do now?
13 Reasons Why Season 2 left us with a big cliffhanger and many unanswered questions. Plus, we got a lot of theories for Season 3, so let's talk about them all. Hey, you lovely people, Lisa here, and Season 2 of 13 Reasons Why definitely left us off with a lot of unanswered questions and plenty of theories for Season 3. We're going to chat about them all here, but first I want to say a big thanks to Amino for sponsoring this video. If I want to keep the conversation going with you all, I can just open up the Amino app, which is an amazing network of communities that cover literally everything from 13 Reasons Why to even K-pop group BTS to your favorite books and movies, and you can connect with fans that love all the same things you do right on your phone, so you can take it literally anywhere to have a chat. You can hang out with tons of fans like myself in a special community made just for 13 Reasons Why, where we can talk about more of these theories in depth, and you can also share your fan art, fan fiction, and basically anything you want to say. I could honestly spend hours on this app, but I can't because we obviously got to discuss these unanswered questions and try to get some answers. But before I do, I created a post asking to hear your thoughts on which couple you ship more, Klana or Xana. So download the app, there's a link in the description, and join the 13 Reasons Why Amino so we can chat about your favorite couple. Now, back to the show. So I asked you all for some unanswered questions, and I think I also had some, and we kind of shared the same unanswered questions. One of the big unanswered questions from Season 2 is, if Zach and Hannah had such a great summer romance, and this romance happened after the incidents Hannah talks about on the tapes, why would Zach still be on the tapes? Well, most likely I feel like it's because Zach had another shot at redemption, and he messed it up. Zach messed with Hannah's confidence when he stole the compliments and she thought he threw out the letter. Then he ended up being too embarrassed to tell anyone about their relationship and just broke it off to keep up the image of sticking with the guys instead of sticking with someone he really cared about, and it broke her even more. He was complicit also in the rape culture at Liberty High, and I think Hannah wanted to point that out. He just stood by and let things happen. He didn't speak up for himself or anybody. I'm guessing Hannah chose to include the first instance of the notes instead of the summer romance in a way to kind of also protect Zach's own secrets and even some of her own. Another question related to Zach is, if their romance happened the summer after, why wouldn't the two of them have talked about that note and cleared up the situation? Zach seems like he's actually a good guy and would have apologized to Hannah, and that note, the talk of it would have been brought up. Like, he would have checked in on her, been like, are you doing okay? And she would have been like, why'd you throw away my note? Well, we never see that conversation play out, and it seems like she didn't have any idea he kept the note because she ended up saying he didn't keep the note on the tapes. If she had known, why would she have said that? Why would she have lied? Now let's run through some of the other unanswered questions you guys had. How did no one know about Zach and Hannah, period? True, I mean, it seems like they live in kind of a small town, and they only mentioned Clay and Bryce being gone for the summer, so it seems like someone could have easily spotted them together. I guess if they were spotted together, they just kind of like played it off like they weren't together, or they were just friends hanging out or something, or quickly like, oh, I don't know you. Some of you asked, why did Tony burn the paper Ryan gave him and what was on it? Well, that was something that was kind of brushed over quickly, and you really had to look at the journal when Ryan was reading it and stealing Hannah's poem. When Ryan stole Hannah's poem, he also ripped out a journal entry in which Hannah wrote about hiding Tony in the movie theater after that fight that happened on Ryan and Tony's date. Now, since Tony is worried about his image and getting his third strike and probation and all of that stuff, he asked Ryan to give it to him. So Ryan gave it to him, and Tony burned that along with a letter from Hannah with the instructions for the tapes in order to kind of save himself. Why was Sherry the only one on the tapes who didn't testify? Well, Alex also didn't testify, but we know that was because his doctors didn't clear him. They never really addressed why Sherry didn't testify. Since both sides actually got to choose their witnesses, I'm guessing that since Sherry was spending most of her time in juvie, that neither side wanted to call on her as a credible witness. Another question, why does nobody notice Clay talking to, well, thin air? Good question, right? Maybe others see Clay just sitting in silence while, on screen we see them talking, Hannah and Clay, because they've said that Hannah is kind of a figment of his imagination, a way to help Clay cope. I feel like there was an instance where Justin almost heard Clay talking to someone in his room. I'm not quite sure, but I'm guessing everyone's pretty much sat and ignored Clay's mental state this entire show, so I'm not surprised no one noticed him talking to himself or an imaginary person. Why did Nina burn the Polaroids and steal them all? It seemed like as much as she thought she had her stuff together, she really didn't. She wasn't ready to face it, so I'd understand her burning her own Polaroid. But she ended up messing with evidence that could have helped a lot of other people and helped them if they were ready to tell their story. Just like kind of how Clay tried to take justice into his own hands, not thinking about how releasing those tapes would affect other people like Jessica and whoever. Nina kind of did the same thing, taking that whole box of Polaroids and taking it upon herself to just burn them all, although I don't think she was really getting justice for anybody but herself. I think there's still a lot of story that could be told with Nina. Why did Alex get a boner, and does he like Zach? Well, that boner was kind of explained during that fight as being just a friction thing.
My dick works.
For me personally, I didn't pick up on anything but friend vibes between Alex and Zach. Sure, Zach did help Alex learn to dance and everything, but like I said, for me, I just felt like, it was a normal friendship of dudes. You can see that dudes can be friends, and be supportive of each other and not just be like a broy, like, yeah, what girls did you bang type of friendship. Now, I know there are a lot of people who are reading it a different way and shipping these two together, saying that Alex kind of had a sexual awakening with Zach and whatever. You know what? I'm not here to diss on anybody's interpretation of a show, so however you interpret it is how you interpret it. We're never really going to know unless they actually address it on the show, hence why it's an unanswered question. But do you ship it or do you not, I guess? Why did Clay keep the gun?
Yo, come on, get me going.
Another good question, but I think that in the heat of the moment and the kind of panic that he was going through, that everyone was going through in this situation, just trying to disarm the situation, all he wanted to do was get that gun out of Tyler's hand so he couldn't do any damage and just get him out of there, disarm Tyler. Well, unfortunately, Tyler does still have other guns and bombs and stuff in his backpack, so Tyler wasn't completely disarmed. But now Clay's just left standing with the gun, looking confused, like, what now? That's what they say at the end of this episode, right? Like, what now as Justin and Jessica look on? And of course, the police sirens are getting closer, so the unanswered question here is also, does Clay get caught? What happens with Clay? Does he try to cover for Tyler? What happens with that whole situation? Someone also asked why Hannah lied about some things in the first season. Well, we were hearing Hannah's side of the story in season 1. She didn't necessarily lie, but she did tell the parts of the story she wanted out there to help shape her story. There were also things she didn't know about, like Zach keeping the letter. She saw him drop that note and throw it away, and she assumed it was her letter. Another question posted, didn't Clay ask everyone to not call the police?
Lock the doors, stay inside, and don't call the police. I gotta find Tony.
Well, yes, Clay did say, don't call the police, but honestly, I'm pretty sure in this situation, no one would ever listen to that suggestion. Everyone would start calling the police. Like, in a moment of panic, you're not going to trust that this kid whose mental state you've kind of seen, if they've been paying attention, kind of get into a really dark place. Trust him to go out and disarm a shooter with a vengeance. I'd be calling the police too, honestly. Someone else posed the question, what did the crossed off people on Hannah's list do? I'm actually still kind of wondering that as well. We saw that Sky was one of those crossed off people, so what was her history with Hannah? Monty was also crossed off, and we know how bad he is, but why didn't he make the list? Did he not do anything really specific to Hannah, or were there people who caused bigger issues? We may never know why those people were crossed off or what they had to do with Hannah, but we thankfully do know that there was a list of reasons why not that Hannah had made. Clay was a part of those reasons. Maybe that'll be explored in season 3. I doubt it, because they've said Katherine Langford won't be a part of season 3. Like, she won't actually appear unless it's like in a flashback they've already filmed, I'm guessing. But that could be an interesting way to go with season 3. Some other questions you guys left on my post is who was behind all the messages with the red paint and all of that. That was Monty, who wouldn't fess up to the police, but he did it, and that's why Bryce said Monty almost messed up his entire case. How did Justin not know about the clubhouse? Very good question. I have no idea, considering how tight Bryce and Justin were. It seemed like they were basically brothers and told each other everything. So that on me, I have no idea, unless Justin's just flat out lying. Why did Jessica end up sleeping with Justin and cheating on Alex? Well, I'm just gonna post this clip from Beyond the Reasons, which actually has a lot of answers if you guys want to go watch that.
Jessica's this whole journey with her body. Like, her body throughout the season is not her own. I feel like that moment with Justin, she looks at him and
You look beautiful.
he calls her beautiful, and she's like, wow, like, she feels like herself and she feels beautiful in her body, and he made her feel that way in that moment.
Lots of people are abused, or someone was complicit in their abuse by someone they really loved, who in other ways was really good to them, and it's confusing.
Why didn't Tyler report his assault? That is kind of one of the big questions here. When it comes to Tyler's assault, the brutality of it seems very realistic. The aftermath, though, not so sure when it comes to this timeline. Tyler gets attacked, I think, on the 19th. He ends up getting his head smashed not only into mirrors, but through an entire ceramic sink. Like, it breaks the sink. Yet somehow he is conscious through the rape portion of his attack. We then see him at home later that day. He's in his bathroom crying. He's obviously still bleeding from behind. And the next day, he goes to attempt to shoot up the school. I think in reality, Tyler would most likely have been knocked out with cuts and bruises all over his face and his body that he would not be able to really hide. He'd have a swollen face, yeah, bloody, bruised everywhere. He probably would have also barely been able to move, let alone march up to the school the next day. Someone totally would have noticed him in that bathroom or attempting to limp home or noticed that bloody mop in the corner. I mean, I work out and after leg day, I can barely move for like a day and a half. What happened to Marcus?
Oh man, we're done with Marcus.
What? Why?
He got suspended. I don't think we can top that.
But after that, we really have no idea. Now, I think that's most of the unanswered questions you all had, or general questions that you were a little confused about. Now for the theories for Season 3, since we are getting a Season 3. Whether you wanted it or not, it's happening in 2019 with 13 brand new episodes. I feel like this is one of the most divisive shows I've ever seen, with people either being like, this show sucks, it shouldn't have gone on past Season 1, and then other people being like, I freaking love this show, I need 50 seasons of it. And that's kind of crazy to hear, but nonetheless, we're getting to Season 3, so let's talk about some theories we got going on for that. We did see Seth lurking around watching Justin through the window at Monet's during the wake. Since Mrs. Jensen couldn't get a hold of Justin's mom, which is why he had to stay in juvie longer, did Seth actually kill her like she kind of mentioned Seth would if he found out Justin came back and took all his money and stuff? I'm thinking the answer is yes, and now Seth is after Justin. That situation would endanger Clay and his family since Justin's now living with them. Clay was left holding the gun, and I feel like I've seen a few theories here. Either Clay gets arrested and takes the fall for Tyler. We could also have Clay throwing the gun in the bush maybe and jetting back inside like nothing happened, just being like, oh, he must have gotten scared off and Tyler's car is just sitting there and he ran when he heard the sirens. Since Tyler's car's still at the scene though, he'd have to get blamed for something, but do they call it a false alarm? Like, what happens here? Could Clay just take matters into his own hands now that he has that gun in his hands and we saw he kind of felt empowered after he had that target practice with Tyler? Is he gonna do something bad with that gun? I really hope it doesn't go that way. Where did Tyler and Tony go? I have no idea on this one. I don't know why Tony would even help, but he did. And I don't think Tyler would hurt Tony. I think if Tyler really wanted to hurt anyone, you'd think he'd start shooting at everyone, including Clay, Justin, and Jessica when they came outside. Tyler didn't end up shooting. It seemed like he still had some, reservations, unless he really just only wanted Bryce and Monty. We don't really know. Tyler still has weapons in his backpack and bombs and stuff, so who knows? He could still force Tony to turn around. I've read on some sites that people think Season 3 could deal with people being questioned about Tyler's whereabouts and motives and why he was doing what he did. Another cliffhanger we were left with was Chloe telling Jessica that she's pregnant at the end of the season, and it kind of seemed random to some of us. Well, some of you think it's an opportunity for the show to discuss abortion or teen pregnancy. Something else a user named Sunny Pixar wants to happen in Season 3 is for people to finally notice and confront Clay about his mental health. Like, how has honestly no one noticed Clay's mental state and the extremes he went through?
Until you realize it's too late.
Just stop. Give me the gun.
One question is any of the stuff that we saw at the end of the season a figment of Clay's imagination? Did he just imagine that he'd stop Tyler? So yeah, I know I didn't get to all the questions you guys had, but these were the most common ones that you left me. But we basically have the common ones being, what will happen to Clay? What will happen to Tyler? Will Monty end up in jail? And yeah, so many places the show could go in Season 3, and hopefully we get a ton of these answers moving forward. But now, sound off in the comments down below with your theories for Season 3 and what unanswered questions you still have. Plus, what would you like to see in Season 3? Which character do you hope it focuses more on? Do you think Tyler will end up reporting his assault? Will he get help? What's going to happen there? Did Clay throw the gun in the bushes and run? Because that's probably what I would have done in the first place. I don't know if I would have grabbed the gun, but you got to disarm the guy, right? So anyways, I am rambling and going off now. Let me know down in the comments all your thoughts and theories for Season 3, and then you can click right over here to see more of my 13 Reasons Why videos and some of my other stuff. Give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you like what you see. My name's Lisa, and thanks for hanging out with me to talk all things 13 Reasons Why.